Roster and front office shuffling, and Herman Moore, all on today's show.
You are Locked On Lions, your daily Detroit Lions podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's good, everybody? Matt Dery with you. It's a Tuesday edition of Locked On Lions, Locked On Podcast Network, the number one sports podcast network. A Tuesday, January 6th, and a Wednesday, January 7th. Thanks for being with us, making us your first listen, checking us out on our Locked On Lions YouTube channel or Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. Big show today. Herman Moore, the former Lion great and wide receiver and legend, is going to join the program in a little bit. We'll get Herman's thoughts on the season and moving forward, where he sees the Lions going from here. That's coming up momentarily as well. Open roster spots. Dan Campbell made a comment yesterday about he wants competition at all spots. What spots is he talking about? But first, let's get to this. News of the day, Albert Breer just breaking the story moments ago from Sports Illustrated, SI, NFL Insider. Albert Breer says the Atlanta Falcons have reportedly put in a request to interview Lions COO, Chief Operating Officer, Mike Disner, for their President of Football Operations role. Falcons have cleaned house. Rich McKay out. Terry Fontenot, their GM, out. Raheem Morris, Radio Raheem, he's gone, their head coach. So the Falcons are basically not starting over, but they've blown up their front office, and they're looking for a GM, a coach, and a president. And according to Albert Breer, Mike Disner, the Lions' right-hand man to really Brad Holmes and Rod Wood, their COO, is going to be interviewed for that job. Disner is a guy that the Lions love. Everybody in that front office loves. He's been really good with the salary cap. He's moved up the ranks over the last few years to be somebody that is very, very important to Brad Holmes during the draft in terms of roster management, salary movement, all of that stuff. Disner is just really, really solid. And that would be a big loss to the front office if he was gone. But hey, an opportunity to run a franchise and be the president of football operations and everything else, in Atlanta. And the Falcons are not that far away. They're not. They've got a lot of talent there. Bijan Robinson's really good. Their front is good on defense. Drake London is good. If they keep Kyle Pitts, he's good. Falcons have some talent, and they underachieved this year in a bad division. So for Disner, it's going to be a great opportunity for him, and good for him to get that interview. This is really the first guy that we've heard about from the Lions coaching staff, front office, anybody that is going to get interviewed or is other teams have shown interest in. Remember, it was this time last year, Ben Johnson had already flown the coop to Chicago. Aaron Glenn was interviewing with the Jets. Hank Fraley was interviewing with Seattle. Antoine Randall was leaving for the Bears. JT Barrett left for the Bears. Lions had a lot of Terrell Williams, left for the Patriots. Lions had so much attrition last year in their front office, but this is the first person we've heard about, at least, Mike Disner getting an opportunity to talk with the Atlanta Falcons. And I can see why. The Lions love him, and he's extremely popular down to 222 Rodwood Drive. All right. Roster issues and competition. Dan Campbell at his season-ending press conference yesterday. And by the way, Brad Holmes is going to speak Thursday afternoon in Allen Park. I told you yesterday, I want someone to ask Brad Holmes, hey, Dan Campbell said he's giving himself the letter grade of an F for the season. Will you do the same for yourself? And I have heard from a reporter today who will remain nameless because I'm not going to give it away until Thursday when hopefully he does it. This said reporter has texted me and said, I will ask that question. Hopefully it will get asked, and Thursday will unveil and uncover that unnamed reporter who is going to do that for us. But anyway, Dan Campbell said yesterday that he wants some competition. He wants to see the Lions get back to grit. He wants to see the Lions get that hunger back. Now, he didn't say they weren't hungry, but he said he wanted to see them get the hunger back. And he wants to see competition. Well, what spots is Dan Campbell talking about? Where should there be competition next year? Let's think about it for a second. Quarterback? No. Running back? No. Wide receiver? Probably not. Let's say they bring Khalif Raymond back. You've got your 4 wide receivers right there. And Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jameson Williams, Isaac Tesla, Khalif Raymond if he comes back. And you've got Tom Kennedy, Dominic Lovett. You've got others. Tight end? No. Sam Laporte is your starter. Is he talking about competition for the backup spot? Maybe Brock Wright, who got hurt, but they extended Brock Wright last year. What about one of the tackle spots? Well, if Taylor Decker retires, boom, there you go. Competition at left tackle. I'm all for it. Or do you move Sewell to the left side and you got competition on the right side? What about the guard position? Tate Ratledge right now is your starter at right guard. Christian Mahogany is your starter at left guard. Would they bring in some competition to push both those guys? I don't see why not, but Ratledge had a pretty good rookie year, and I think they really like Mahogany at left guard. Center, absolutely. Now, there will be no competition if the Lions dip into their wallets in free agency and hit a home run with Tyler Linderbaum, or they could, sign a couple of people, draft a guy, sign a guy, and do competition there. But the offense, I don't see a lot of competitive spots. Defense is another story. You want to put some competition out there for the interior of that defensive line? Let's do it. DJ Reader is a free agent and I think gone. Roy Lopez is on a 1-year deal. Josh Paschal, free agent. Mekhi Wingo could be let go. There are a lot of openings on the interior of that defensive line. Aleem McNeil makes a lot of money and did not have a good year, but he's coming back, you'd think. And you've got Tyleik Williams, who I think needs to be pushed. I know he was a first-round pick, but let's get we need depth. There needs to be some depth added to the interior of that defensive line. Same goes for the edge room. With Aiden Hutchinson, he has his spot. But what about that opposite edge spot? Al-Qadim Muhammad, free agent. Marcus Davenport, free agent. Not sure who else is there right now, right? It's a wide open spot. Linebacker, Jack Campbell is the man. Pro Bowler, very, very good player. Gaines media poster boy, Alex Anzalone, free agent. You could have competition at his spot if he's not back. What about Derek Barnes? Does he need to be pushed? He was a starter this year and really underachieved. Want to bring some competition in for Barnes? I'm game. Cornerbacks. DJ Reed on one side, Terrion Arnold on the other. That's what you figure the Lions will start the season with next year. But competition at corner to add depth has to be done. You could never have enough cornerbacks. Rakestraw coming back from injury. Dorsey coming back from injury. I don't think Amik Robertson's going to be back, although I'd love him back. Safety, the big question is Kirby Joseph's health. You got Brian Branch. You don't need competition for Branch. He's a stud. So really the big spots are one of the tackle spots if Decker retires, center, interior of that D-line. Maybe a linebacker spot, cornerback. That's what I think Dan Campbell's talking about. And they spent a lot of time at this time last year making the decision that they were going to bring the band back together. Onwuzurike back, Davenport back, Barnes back, Aleem got extended back. They brought a lot, Dorsey back. They brought so many guys back. Glasgow back. A lot of 1-year deals for guys. I think that'll change. I think the days of keeping the band together are done. There will be some guys retained. I'm hopeful Muhammad stays. I'm hopeful Robertson stays. I like Roy Lopez. I like Avonte Maddox, but you can't bring them all back. All right, Herman Moore, Lions great wide receiver, is going to join us coming up next, right here on this Tuesday edition of Locked On Lions on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day, and the #1 sports podcast network. Locked On Lions today brought to you by our friends at ZocDoc. Finding a doctor you actually like, you can feel that you actually like, can feel like discovering a diamond in the rough, right? It's awesome. You want someone in network nearby with availability, but you also want a doctor who really listens. makes you feel comfortable, explains things clearly, and helps you walk out feeling confident about your next step. Your diamond in the rough doc exists, and finding them is easy with ZocDoc. That's ZocDoc. ZocDoc is a free app and website that helps you find and book high-quality in-network doctors so you can choose someone that you truly connect with. I love that you can search for specialty or symptoms and quickly find the right fit. And the real-time availability means you can book instantly, no phone tag. Stop putting off those doctor's appointments. Go to ZocDoc.com/LockedOnNFL to find and instantly book a doctor you love today. That's ZocDoc.com/LockedOnNFL. ZocDoc.com/LockedOnNFL. Thanks to ZocDoc for sponsoring this message. And Locked On Lions also today brought to you by our friends at Ultimate Quarterback. Hey, guys, the draft pick positions are set. Lions are going to be picking 17th. And so many teams are looking for that franchise quarterback. Maybe not the Lions, but you get my drift. Ever wished to become a pro quarterback and you got drafted first overall by the Lions? Well, now you can. There's a mobile game just for you called Ultimate Quarterback, Football Legend. In this game, you step into the cleats of a number one draft pick QB, and it's your job to lead your team to greatness to help turn a failing franchise into a dynasty. This is the number one quarterback career mode game on the mobile app stores, and it introduces the most realistic environment with full career control. You sign contracts, you train and upgrade yourself, build chemistry, involve your teammates, give input to your GM on roster moves, play the actual games in 2D, and rise through the ranks to become a pro football legend. You'll deal with the ups and downs of a quarterback career, from rookie nerves to playoff drama, and every choice shapes your journey. Ultimate Quarterback is totally free to play, has no ads, and works 100% offline. Perfect for when you want to sneak in a quick game or two on the go. Just head over to ultimate-quarterback.com. That's ultimate-qb.com, or search for Ultimate QB in your app store. And we've got something special just for you guys. Use the promo code LOCKEDON, all caps, in the game store to get a free boost at the start of your career. Ultimate QB, football legend, QB1, it's your legacy. All right, as promised, here he is. It's been way too long. The legendary Lions wide receiver Herman Moore is with us here on Locked On Lions, a little Tuesday edition. Herm, great to see you, my friend.
Hey, you as well, man. How you been?
Long time. I mean, ran into you a couple weeks ago. Big hug. You look great. You got your 5,000 businesses you're doing. You can't keep up with you. You're hanging out with my buddy Anthony Salvati. You and him are buddies.
Oh yeah, man.
Oh my gosh, it's so good to see you.
Small world, man. It's all well, man. You're always looking to transition from one place to another, and life's been good. Being here in Michigan and hanging out and watching my kids grow and watching family and friends flourish and do those good things, man. It's been good times.
Tell me about your impressions for the season. I've seen some of your clips on social media and everything, and I know that you were kind of like me. You're like, things just didn't seem right, and this is not a bad football team by any stretch, but how do you kind of classify and put this one away as a 9-8 season?
There's a lot of ways in which you can look at it. And I look at this as really being a team that they have all the right pieces in place. It's the consistency. It's looking at how do you handle this as a team and move forward down the, and deal with the success. Success breeds a lot of other things. Teams are gunning for you. Players have to avoid complacency. You have to keep the locker room and the team together. This team is there. They're still young, but it's understanding the necessity in the moment to be able to capture it when it's there.
I was talking before you came on. Dan Campbell made the comment on Monday. He said, there's got to be some competition. He wants to bring in competition, see some guys compete. What spots do you look up and say, man, they need something fresh and new here? Like when Dan's talking about competition and competing, where do you think he's starting with?
Wow. I mean, this is a talented team. So to say that they're starting with the receivers, I don't think that's the problem. They have depth there. Quarterback, maybe you still look at the backup position as being a place to solidify an event that a guy goes down in the starting position. Running back is stacked. maybe he's talking about tight end. I don't know, because along the line there's some opportunity, but defensively I think it's more in the secondary. I think he's going to be looking at that as kind of the exterior, the outlier, and then probably in the interior line. You still need some pass rush and players that you can substitute in. So I think that needs to happen as well.
Former Lion great Herman Moore with us, of course, the H-man, number 84, does such great work in the community, is still here doing his thing. And we're going to talk about his business stuff in a second. But tell me about, you just mentioned it, the quarterback, and obviously they'd be looking at a backup. But where are you on Jared Goff? And there's plenty of fans that get angry every time he has a bad game. But all in all, another solid season for him. But where do you think the Lions need to help him the most?
I think when you're trying to evaluate your quarterback, you're trying to evaluate talent. You always look and say, where are the cracks? If it's a receiver, does he need to get bigger, faster, stronger, be more precise in their route running? If it's a defensive back, is it hands and placement and being in a position to make plays? So everyone's got areas they have to get better. I think with him, it's mobility. It's looking at how do you handle pressure. Because if I know that our line, if we get injured, injuries along the line, or he needs to have a little bit more mobility and he has to be able to handle the pressure, the system itself, one, has to be around him to help him handle that a lot better. And then two, it's all about how does he respond? What does he do to get better? Every player's got to get better. I don't think Jared Goff is excluded from that category or that group. You go off and you look at where the improvement happens. I think if anyone's going to have any question about him, which I thought was his best season since he's been here in terms of, you look at him statistically, I mean, he's right there. I think he got snubbed in the Pro Bowl. But with Jared, it's where can he be more impactful, and where does he allow himself not to all of a sudden become ordinary in the event that this team can't hold up protection and teams start to gun for you with pressure.
By the way, you mentioned receiver. You're in good shape, brother. I mean, what do you think? Can you be the number 5 guy next year at your age?
I think so, man. I think coming out, hitch route, out route, fade route. My height is still the same. I'm still 6'4.5". I still have a reach of 8 feet 6 inches. So I'm already got a little bit of an advantage there. But this is a young man's game, man. I enjoy watching the players that we have. I enjoy watching St. Brown and Raymond and J-Mo and Tesla and these guys, man, they are, I think that's one of the best solid trio and combination of 4 receiver set that's in the league. And I put them up against any. These guys are very good. They're legit.
Defensively, there were the struggles in the second half. Obviously, they played pretty well the other day against the Bears and all of that. But you look at that D tackle room, and you can see a lot of change there. And a guy like Liam McNeil's making a lot of money, but how difficult? How much do you look at 9-8 and go, man, they just could not stop the run at the end of the year, and they probably need to upgrade, right there at the point of attack on defense.
It's even more. It's that upgrading the middle. It's trying to figure out how do you be better at stopping the run game of your opponent, but also how do you continue to have persistent pressure on quarterbacks other than in predictable downs. It's easier when teams are forced to have to throw the football, but it seemed like when they couldn't get big leads and make the other team's opponent, the offensive side of it, predictable, and these guys could just kind of pin back their ears and go after the quarterback, they had to play defense from edge to edge. They had to play sideline to sideline, and they had to protect all parts of the field, and that became a problem. And I think there was some exposure there to show that defensively, it's not just, in the interior line, but it's the pass rush is getting that in the beginning and all the way through the year, but then also having relentless opportunities in the secondary compared to what we've seen in the past with these guys. They've been ball hawks, but this year it just wasn't happening at the level I think that would put them in the championship caliber that you expect to go and make those long season deep runs into the postseason.
Herm, what do you think about when the coach says, I'm giving myself a letter grade of an F, that this organization, and he failed? What was your reaction to that?
Well, there's a couple that I had. One was, I don't know if I give Coach Campbell an F. I think he's been a little hard on himself there. I think if you talk about it, you're going to give yourself that failing grade. It's, what is it that you're going to do? What is it that you failed at? And in doing so, where are you going to make changes? It's laying out the game plan. There's more to it than just the words of it. And Coach Campbell's a guy that's very thoughtful. And I know he knows exactly what he means when he says he gave himself an F, whether he shares that with us or not. I think we all want to know, like, where are you exactly putting that? And then who else are you putting in that category? Because it's not a single team. It's not just the head coach. There's going to be a lot of other players, positions, coaches, and evaluations that will take place. So, I see that, but I think that's a little heavy on himself on that, because it's not just him. I think there's a combination of things that have to change and have to take place.
As a guy that sat in the offensive meetings, sat in the wide receiver meetings and all of that, when middle of the season, the offensive coordinator basically gets his responsibilities taken away from him and Dan Campbell's calling plays. How much effect does that have on the season in your mind?
Well, that has a lot, because, the head coaching position, we've seen it. And I've talked about this on another part of a show that I had earlier when we were discussing it. There's a responsibility that comes with head coaching. There's a responsibility that comes with OC, DC, position coaches and things of that nature. It's hard to do multiple things at this league level and do them effectively and do them in a great way. There are coaches who've come through the ranks because being an OC or being on that side of the ball and play calling or assistant head coach position is something they've done. So they take on dual roles. I think for him, he's a head coach. He's a guy who needs to have the top level view, see it from all aspects, and then be able to tell people what needs to be done. And if he needs his OC to be able to present a certain type of offense or a different dynamic or a different type of play call, they should be able to follow that directive. And he still should be able to do the things that he needs to do as a head coach to make things happen on his side without having to compromise his position sitting at head of the throne. So having said that, I would like to see him go back, find an OC if he's not going to stay with Morton, and be able to resume his role, because I think he brings a different spark. He brings elements I think he's not realizing that extend beyond him just being a play caller.
Look, they're gonna talk about injuries, and obviously every team has them. There just seemed to be something missing, obviously, this year. And again, point of attack. I mean, offensive line, defensive line, everything else. I mean, is that the quick fix? Is all right, let's go get a Tyler Linderbaum from the Ravens, pay him a lot of money. Let's make sure we draft an offensive and defensive lineman. Anything else that stands out to you that Brad Holmes must do this offseason?
I think he's got to definitely go back in and continue to look at the talent level, look at and see where you are from evaluating, what's the depth of this football team? Where are the areas that we got exposed? And then we look at the division. We look at also those that we're going to be competing against. Where are they getting better? Because we got to match moves. We got to match talent. And at the end of it, it comes across like, can we play with the elite teams in the league? And are we still considered an elite team? Well, it starts with talent. It starts with scheme. It starts with the ability to be able to go out and really make these things happen week in and week out. It's not that you take a week off, so they've done a great job building. I think other teams have done that as well. And you start over every year. And this is an exact example when we talk about teams. It doesn't matter your position from one year to the next. You got to earn the next year as well. So the Lions have to do that again. So 9-8 this year could have been worse, but they get to come back next year. And I think they finished on a strong note against Chicago.
Who's coming out of the NFC in your mind as you look at the games this weekend and just the bracket? I mean, anybody stand out in your mind as the team that's going to the Super Bowl?
I'm not down on Chicago. I just felt like they took Detroit for granted. I think they came out and they played flat. You can see when the sense of urgency, they turned it up a different dial. And that shows me that they didn't come prepared. They didn't come prepared to play 4 quarters of football. Then when they start to turn it on, we saw them even back up the game. So I think that was an awakening for them. I still think they are going to go further than people realize. I think defensively, they have the tools to get it done. Offensively, they have the ability to really put up points on all teams in the NFL. Green Bay, I thought coming in prior to some injuries on that side of it was going to be a strong candidate to go deep or have a chance at the conference championship. So coming out of that side, I think it's going to come out of the West. I think it's going to come either from Seattle or it's going to come from probably LA. So those are the ones I'm thinking that's where it's going to probably come from.
I found out that you're a busy man. Your phone's blowing up. Nothing has changed. You and I in the radio studio at 105.1 10 years ago, nothing has changed. You are on the go all the time. You got a lot going on, including stuff with Lions fans. I know. Tell my audience about it.
So I started a thing called Lions Nation, and did that a few years ago to really celebrate the fans during my career who had been there for me, that had supported me throughout my career. And you try and look for a way to give something back, to give access to them in places I go, but also to myself and others. But also, again, a platform where it's not necessarily tied to any politics of sports, and we can come on that platform and be respectful and say and do what we want. But, just be fans of the game and fans of the players in the organization at a different level, but authentically. So that's it. And then I'm also doing my typical entrepreneurship stuff. I love working with communities and helping build people up, but I do that through my business. I do that through our shipping and logistics, or printing promotions, or our studios and things of that nature. So there's a wide range of businesses that we have that service our community more so than anything than personally.
Well, it's great to catch up, brother. We'll have to do it again sometime. Grab some lunch too, talk some business and other things, but always love the time that you and I get together, my friend, and keep up all the great stuff that you're doing.
Always much appreciated, and wishing you all the best always. Great guy.
You got it. There he is. Herman Moore with us on a Tuesday. I Locked On Lions today brought to you by FanDuel. Fridays already feel different during basketball season, and FanDuel is making them even better. Every Friday night before the games tip off, FanDuel gives fans a new way to kick off the weekend with NBA Happy Hour. NBA Happy Hour is your official pregame, a limited time window where special offers drop right inside the FanDuel app before the action starts. Fridays from 6 to 7:30 Eastern have become appointment viewing with NBA Happy Hour on FanDuel. Open up the FanDuel app during happy hour and always bring something new. Boosts, bonuses, and surprises. It adds extra energy to Friday night basketball without overthinking it. So before tip-off, check the FanDuel app and see what's dropping during NBA Happy Hour every Friday from 6 to 7:30 p.m. Eastern. A little basketball, a little action, and a whole lot of Friday energy. That's NBA Happy Hour only on FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of the NBA. Oh, man, it's the end of our program. We got breaking news. This rarely happens during recording of Locked On Lions, but it's happening. The Lions have fired offensive coordinator John Morton. Yes, that's right. The team announcing that Morton will not be back as OC and has been let go. So Dan Campbell talked about it yesterday and said he wanted to take his time. John Morton out as OC, no surprise at all. And now the Lions will be searching for his replacement. Now, as we're also recording here at the end of the show, at the end of the day, John Harbaugh has been fired as head coach of the Baltimore Ravens after 18 seasons. The Ravens parting ways with Harbaugh. That means that his offensive coordinator, Todd Monken, who does a really good job. And look, Monken's a good OC. The Ravens offense was not great this year. Lamar Jackson kind of was off and was injured. And there were games that they didn't hand the ball to Derrick Henry, but that would be a guy that for sure, Todd Monken, that the Lions should look at for offensive coordinator. But we'll have more on this tomorrow, but this is not a big surprise at all. I think this will be the biggest coaching move they'll make with Johnny Moe, and it just did not work out for him. He said he wanted to stay, and, he's friends with Dan Campbell, and he's a local guy, Auburn Hills, Avondale, and all of that, but John Morton fired here at the end of the show, and John Harbaugh gone too from the Ravens. Wow. What a day around the NFL. Back again tomorrow with a Wednesday edition of Locked On Lions on the Locked On Podcast Network, the #1 sports podcast network. Don't forget our Everydayers Club as well. For more info, check it all out in the show notes. We'll talk to you again tomorrow.